All right. Here we are yet again. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. I am your host, Victor Vincent, with Accountable Masculinity. And I got my co host up here, Queen Smoke from Air the Fuck Out podcast. So we are back yet again with some more shenanigans. And today we're going to discuss parental alienation. But before we get there, what we like to do is break down a couple videos and run our mouths and break the ice. So let's go.
A lot of men are now leaving it up to women to ask for their phone number, pursue them, holler at them. And we talking about men over 40, right? And it's crazy to me because literally a generation before them, those men were the hunters and, you know what I'm saying, pursuing women. And I'm confused because I don't know what the hell happened. Is it the Me Too movement that fucked this shit up? Or is it the feminist movement, which none I am a part of, okay? I didn't ask for this shit. I'm trying to figure out who dropped the fucking ball because
I want to say this. There's been this social media narrative for I would say probably the last year or maybe 2 years, might be being very generous, that there is a male loneliness epidemic. I don't know how you can have a male loneliness epidemic with women complaining about not getting attention from men.
Right. I agree.
Since the election, I know we can even just timestamp it back since the election. Women were saying we're going 4B. We're not having sex with nobody. We're not looking for any type of male attention. But these videos keep showing up.
Right.
And I don't know. What do you think about it so far?
Even brings me back to those like a couple of brunches, like a little Sunday mixers with males and females, and the women go live and say that there's no men there in attendance. You know what I mean? We always focus on this old man gonna die in a nursing home or they be in the hospital by themselves, but we never focus on all these single grandmamas and aunties that ain't in no nursing home that have a house by themselves of things.
Yep.
All the men got chased away, and I feel like that's the generational thing that we don't want to talk about.
Man, look, and this is where it starts too, right here. We're gonna continue. She about to give us some more information about this.
now we got a whole bunch of men walking around here like they want to be the fucking women and we the fucking men. And it's tiring as fuck, honestly. You meet somebody and they really expect you to like hit them up. They don't do shit no more. And it's really sad that we have these type of men now. But I don't know if it's our fault, not me personally, but women's fault as a whole, because we kind of made these motherfuckers like this.
When people say, "I don't know if it's our fault," it's your fault. You got equity in the issue. You know what I'm saying? Because she's not an unattractive woman.
Mm-hmm.
So there was plenty of opportunity where she got attention from men at some point in her life. Because I'm going to say she probably early to mid 40s, maybe she could even be late 40s.
Mm-hmm.
But I always think it's disingenuous when people lead like that and just say, "Hey, you know what? This is a conversation she should have had with herself before she got on camera."
Right.
I think a lot of people put their camera in front of the logic.
For me, something that sparked my attention is what I hear often come out of Black women's mouth. That pretty much it's always suggested that a Black man is gay, sassy, feminine, for wanting equal effort. You know what I mean? And that just goes to show how much, or like she said before, maybe her upbringing, maybe her growing up, how much men let us slide, how much brothers let us slide. And the more beautiful, the more passes you got.
Yep.
But what this taught a lot of Black men was looks fade, and this character is horrible. I have to be stuck with this because it's cheaper to keep her for a lot of Black men. It's cheaper to keep my family together. I want to see my kids every day, and I don't want to be a weekend dad. So what I am actually, what a lot of Black sisters find disgusting and repulsive, I actually find admirable that Black men have had high self-esteem and they don't just trust big butts and smiles anymore. I actually am proud of my brothers for wanting to go deeper. You know what I
Yep.
mean? For really wanting to create family. I'm proud because, like you always say, a black man most likely will marry a black woman,
Yep.
and all that. And for the ones that have not given up, they're requiring you to meet them halfway, and then they'll take the rest of the way. But to think that just because you look a certain way or have something, or because maybe men flocked to you when you were younger, and that's entitlement to feel like they're gonna do that. You know, even if you're a young woman, you don't feel like you're getting all that attention. A man, it's like if you go shopping, you're not gonna just grab something off the shelf because you see it. Oh, I like, you're gonna go try it on. Is this the fit for me? That's what men are doing. A lot of you say that, oh, I'm not gonna be playing no wife. Why buy the milk when you can get the cow for free? You know what I mean? But what's the audition? If you go into a job and say, yeah, hire me, they're gonna be like, okay, we'll be calling you, we'll keep in touch. You won't hear from them people.
Yep.
That's how it is in the dating experience. If you sit at, if you meet a man and you say, okay, like, I'm the job, you know what I mean? I'm qualified. How? Why? What makes you? What makes a man's investment of really taking on you as his wife in his life and possibly starting a family with you? How is that a win in his life? You know what I mean? And
Yep.
you guys don't want to prove that. You guys don't care to prove that, but constantly making children though.
Yep. Man, look, they'll blame the patriarchy while they're pregnant,
Mm,
which don't make any sense.
mm,
Then they'll say they want a man that don't play about them, but don't want to take men seriously.
right. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And then you want full um like ability to act out on your emotions, but don't want to listen to a man's complaints.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying, or what he requires. So if you just want a sexual professional to do what you tell him to do, you know,
Mm.
and and read your mind at the same time too.
And you want full disclosure, every detail of his life.
It doesn't make any sense at all. But
Very.
it's a bad deal. It sounds like the government.
Mm, absolutely.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Like scared to approach us, scared to say shit, scared to like.
And I don't like when they say we scared. We're not scared of y'all.
Right. Tiger.
Nobody's scared of black women but other black women. That's it. Like, proximity wise, if we don't have to be around people that do not respect us.
Right.
And this is that coded language that is like somewhat blaming us for not talking to them. Because, like, here's the thing: if you had something like she talked about in the past, that men would be in more of a pursuit mode, right?
Mhm.
What did you do to make men no longer pursue you?
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
Because that means that implies that you had the leverage, you had control. What happened? That's why, like, when women bring up um matriarchal societies that don't exist anymore,
Hmm.
you don't even understand that you're just proving the point by bringing it up, because it existed. Why
Right.
were they? What happened to the matriarchal society? Why was it not a sustainable model? You know what I'm saying? Because you can't defend it, and you're not willing
Right.
to go take power, and so you can't grow and can't expand. And that is a necessary thing. And it is by the grace of men that you even have the freedom to complain about men.
Right.
Because if
I agree.
it's just the truth. It's hard to hear, but it's just the absolute fact. Because, like, we can understand this when we talk about the United States military and then going to different places and say, hey, we're going to go take power, defend, protect, whatever. Well, you have to have the capacity and the ability to take something. You know what I'm saying? And grace is the only thing that makes you human enough to
Mhm.
not inflict pain and unnecessary trauma on people.
Right.
Even be intimate with you. Men are naturally meant to be um the hunters, and women are the gatherers. Like,
No, you're the prey.
women don't even have a mental capacity to chase men like how a man is supposed to with a woman. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even in our nature to do it. But it's like we're being pushed into that. And it's not a natural thing. I'm ready for this shit to end. So I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm asking hard questions here, like, what the fuck happened to these men out here? I
That's what happened to me right there.
You said it before me.
Go ahead.
You said it before me because I was gonna say that attitude is what happened to men. That energy, it's like a bug spray. You know, when I was a little girl, I would get so like my mom. She's one of 10. You know, but I have so much, including the church family. You know, all the extended family. So many women in my life. It was always like advice, but it's life lessons. You know, one auntie told me don't spit. You know, as a lady, don't spit. I literally thought that when she said that, it's like all I can do is spit, right? But it's something that I work on until this day. Like I really don't, you know. One auntie, you know, my father taught me how to sit, you know, like with your legs crossed at church and everything, you know, modesty. A lot of aunties, just different tips and tricks, you know. And my mom, she's very soft spoken. She taught me directly and indirectly, but also, you know, as a child, you watch the way that people move, the adults in your life, the way they move. You want to emulate that. The way in which she entered a room very quietly, but always commanding, you know, just very kind. The light of like God. That's what I have to do. That's what I compare it to, you know. So like I noticed how my dad, he would do all that wolfing. You know, no offense, I love you, pops. I know you probably watching, but like my dad would do all that wolfing. I'd always respected my dad. He always was scared of my dad. But it's like my mom, her being so quiet. It's like, what is she thinking? I'm like a little more afraid of her, you know. So I know that when women are very, like you always say, nice, when they're gentle, when they're kind, when they assume the role of what a woman should, you know, the world kind of turns for them in their favor with friends, with opportunities, with men, you know, they creme de la creme. Because every woman think creme de la creme is just like a look, you know, and that's why they all have this certain look. We all know what the look is. But it's everything, you know, it's all in one. And a lot of Black women just work on the outward aesthetic, you know? So they're like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I look good. What's wrong with me? I got a good job. I make good money. This house is nice, you know, all these things. But it's never, even when they say what kind of person they want, I never hear kind. I never hear loyal. I never hear, you know, a good cook, a good sense of humor. Nothing of a character. Nothing of, it's always the provision. I want a provider. You know, when I hear Black men describe the kind of woman that they want, it's always like the attributes of a wife. You know, like I want a kind woman, I want a good mother, a kind person. So it's like I feel like we live in this era now where a lot of young women were programmed and brainwashed by mama not to need a man, even though they have brothers in the house with them, uncles, grandfathers. If it's not in their family, a lot of them don't respect their family, but if, you know, they tolerate the men in their family, you know.
Yeah.
They want to go fight for brother and fight for, you know, if they get hurt or whatever, nephew, you know. And these same households is young men that say, I want to be a father and a husband. So
with
it's
women that's not getting along. Yeah, with women that's not getting along with it.
It's a split household, you know. So like a lot of men, they actually grew up doing their own work without counseling, knowing that mama got, okay, maybe I don't know my father, let me go hear the story, whatever the case may be. But when it came to mama, knowing that she not perfect either, you know. A lot of grown Black men have gone no contact with mama. A lot of them experience abuse with mama, being their mama's emotional punching bag, being the husband to their mama, all these things, emotional incest with mom. So they want to be better, you know, they want to do better, they want to be fathers, they want to take that burden off their women. And it's like a lot of women are resisting because they've been seeing that their mom did it for so long. When you see your mom in survival mode all your life, it's hard to soften up. And even if you feel like you can break, like a man can break you, because, you know, we don't like that word training or breaking or falling in love. Because we're so tough, you know. But you kind of you manipulate it and you ruin it yourself, you know, with your emotional immaturity, because you don't want a man to get close to you. Because what if mama was right? But we never think about, but what if this is the life that I could have though? What if she was wrong?
Man, look, I'm telling you, that moment where you realize mama was wrong, every child has that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Man, look, and it comes in different ways. I found out mama was wrong when she was trying to help me with my homework one time.
You know?
Hey, look, mama, I went to school and this was wrong, you know? Hey, because
don't your parents hate that?
You done set me up. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I went in there confident.
Yeah, like I could have got it wrong by myself. But
a bubble busted.
Yeah, but you know, that just lets you know they're human. When you find out your parents are human, when it comes in different ways, man. You know,
Absolutely.
but like this is when women find out that, like I say before, there's abstinence for both men and women from 18 to 25.
Mm-hmm.
Women get the most attention from men, and men get the least attention because there's nothing there. But like it flips on the backside,
Right.
because by the time that man comes into his own prime,
Right.
By the time he's 25 and forward, he's gonna get attention the rest of his life. And then women, they'll still get attention, but it'll be transactional. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
More
Pay-per-view.
Every pay-per-view rental. You know what I'm saying? It'll be it'll go from transactional. No, in the first years, it's probably more transformational because they have an opportunity to be transformed by whatever experience that they sign up for.
Right, right.
But after a while, there's no transformational opportunities as often as you get transactional opportunities. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You become $40. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let me finish up.
We need to go back to how it was, because I don't know how many of y'all sisters is built for this shit, but honestly, I'm fucking not. Okay? We need to put out a fucking PSA. We need to get on a bullhorn and be like, wait a minute, we want to go back to how it was 10 years ago. A bitch is tired. Okay, get on your shit. Send an email, nigga, because we need this to be a national campaign against whatever the fuck happened. We need to go back to how it was, because I ain't built for the shit. Let me know if you are.
Cooked. This is the wall that Kevin Samuels was talking about, but no woman is exempt.
Absolutely not. The baddest of the bad. Like, you know, my personal favorites, like they, you know, it's looking rough. And not in a bad way, of course, you know, you should age well, but they think is they don't want to. From celebrity to the average working woman, they don't want to age. And it's okay to. And like you said, she's not an ugly woman at all. Very beautiful. And I'm sure 20 years she was one of them ones, you know?
Yep.
But you didn't choose correctly because you wouldn't be in this position. You'll be 30, 40 years in with your man, you know? 20, 30 years in with your man. If that was your motivation back in the day, it wasn't. That's why you're in this situation now. Correct.
That's exactly why you are where you are right now. And everybody's here because of the choices they made. And that's just it. Nothing else.
Right.
And the thing is, the men that they complain about are the men that they raised.
Absolutely.
Kia just said, stop complaining about black men and start raising better ones. And when I tell you, yeah, because I've been saying. See, the problem with a lot of women is they only have a problem with it when it's happening to them. But when it's your son, it's funny, it's cute. He's just a player. He's a heartbreaker. Boy, you're going to break hearts because you're too cute for just one. But then when somebody is a player to you or somebody break your heart, you don't like complaining about black men. The same black men that y'all raised. Time and time again, I see black women enable their sons doing. You be all in the side chick at the house. Oh, he over here with his other girlfriend. His other, like that shit funny or something. How is you cool? But what if your man was over there with his other girlfriend at his mama house or at his sister house, at his cousin house? See, that's what I don't like about y'all. Y'all only got a problem when it's happening to you. Your son on his third baby mama ain't thought about marriage. And you up there, oh, I got me another little grandbaby. Ugh. I swear to God, Buddha is 8. And he already be saying he got a good dad. So he always say he want to be a dad. And I be like, don't be no baby daddy. You be a daddy when you get a wife, okay? And when he gets said wife, I'm going to be on his about making sure he treat her good as well as the kid. You as a woman, you don't even tell your son about that. Your son got another woman pregnant. You ain't say, hey son, you should do this. You should. I just feel like, and like, maybe y'all might say, Kyrie, it's not your job, but me, I feel like if Buddha was to get somebody pregnant, I'm supposed to be like, okay, you know she's pregnant. I need you to be kind. I need you to be like just a little bit more gentle. Like I just feel like as a woman, you should give your son a rundown, like when his girl get pregnant, just so he know like this is a very sensitive time for her. I don't know. Maybe that's doing too much, but that's just me though. And please don't come in my comments talking about the daddy that left. The daddy wasn't around. He ain't nothing either. But we talk about the mama right now. As a woman, you know how a woman want to be treated. So that's your cue to teach your son. But y'all don't do that because y'all think that shit funny because y'all fucking trash ass women.
Mm, mm, mm. She definitely ate. She cut, burnt it. Smoke in the house. We gotta go outside. Man, I agree. I say that because when it's mama's, like I just said, when it's mama's baby, when it's mama's emotional companion, when it's mama's young man going in the streets bringing money in, she don't question that, she take it. You know what I mean? And so a lot of women, they put those titles on their sons, calling them the N-word when they little, dressing them like the men that broke their heart, making their baby. We talk about the sexualization of black little girls from mama, but black mama sexualize her son too. Being naked, but that's like you always talk about the naked mama, you know, but that desensitizes a black boy from a black woman's body.
Yep.
When we talking about consent, like you don't teach your child anything, and you're the woman.
Yep.
You know, and like she said, we all know how we want to be treated, but a lot of black women, that's why we had to cover the sisterhood is fake, because it only matters when it happens to her. You know, it's only important when she's going through it. When anybody else, when they calling her Miss Such, look at baby boy.
Yeah.
When he call, I ain't in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it's your issues, when it's your heartbreak, mama, because a lot of moms that raise these boys, y'all was busting their daddy's windows. Y'all was problems. Y'all was getting arrested. Y'all was fighting girlfriends. Y'all was practicing, you know, our topic of the day. Y'all was practicing parental alienation too. So all these mamas that's in church and acting like they wise and they done cleaned it up. Y'all cleaned it up, but that don't mean y'all wasn't a mess. That's why a lot of them can't speak on it, you know, because they were that. That's why your sons attract that.
Come on, man. Yeah, because that's what you were.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I saw this one.
Hurts me is that 7,000 women liked that post, that the deaths from suicide from males are not high enough. What the hell is wrong with these women? Who are these women? Are these the same women who are coming to me on my website for advice? Please give me advice. I need a man. I can't find a man after they crush him and castrate him and tassel him. They want a man? I don't understand it.
That's horrendous, you know. As somebody who personally had 2 unalivings in my family, my young cousin and a family friend, I don't take that lightly at all, you know. And in our community, the rates are really high, astronomical, climbing every day, you know.
Yeah.
I have 9 black nephews. I have a black father, a black man, brothers, you know, cousins. I would feel really sick if I, as a black woman, didn't offer any kind of support, comfort, anything to a black man going through it. You know, it's not to be mocked, and it's not to be made fun of, because, like I always said, it's a black man that you love. You may not love one romantically, but you love your son, you love your brother, your dad, you love your grandpa, and just imagine, you know, it's not a game, because a lot of people, I get this often from a lot of sisters on the internet. They always say like they just playing, you know, or oh my internet, they alter ego, they trolling, but that's a part of your personality. For 7,000 of y'all, that's how y'all feel, and y'all raising y'all. How many of those 7,000 have sons or husbands? You know what I mean? And they think that's a game. It's not funny, because you putting that out there, and y'all think online, you think that won't come back into your family, into your life. It absolutely will.
Yep.
It's just disgusting, you know. It's no filter. It's no shock value what comes out of a lot of women's mouths, and it's no. That's barbaric to me.
Yeah, there's no shame
At all.
And notice, like, I've stopped getting. I don't even look at content from men talking about what's wrong with men. I'm already a man, and I already know what men are dealing with, right?
Right.
What a lot of men don't see or can't see is that there are women that are concerned about the well-being of men. Right. And what I've noticed is there's a split between the women that have daughters and the women that have sons. The women that have daughters, they have a different scale for compassion for men,
right?
Because they don't have men in their families. Because you got to think about it. Let's say you got to have, like, man, case in point. Since we last talked, did you see that that situation at the McDonald's in Michigan where the manager was bullying the allegedly bullying the employee, and the
Absolutely.
the two, and, you know, and the manager ended up getting deleted
Right.
by the employee,
I did.
and this is her second situation where she's had to pull out. Well, she's threatened somebody with a knife. Did you see that the manager was 39 and she was a single mom of 6?
Yes.
She had 5 girls and 1 boy. And that is the absolute ratio that I keep talking about, that 5 to 1. That
Right.
It's in that demographic where you see more women raising girls without men around. And then you got that many girls all at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you got 1 boy. So there's no regulation and no balance in the house. These are the same women that's being raised in households that don't respect men, that's complaining about the absence of men. And they're not even understanding, they're not even cultured around men to know how to talk to us. And a lot of them don't even realize that men are human until they have sons. We don't have feelings, we don't have expectations, hopes, dreams, or nothing like that that's worth considering until they have a son themselves. And a lot of guys, their relationship outcomes are unsuccessful because they're attracted to women that are raised without any men in their families, because the boys that's raised the same way are familiar with being around a bunch of women.
Right.
So, but they don't see that they're really incompatible because neither household had the right balance.
Absolutely, facts.
So those conversations are significantly different, and I will always bring that out. There's a balance that's in there. Like, you're going to be attracted to what you are familiar with. So, you know what I'm saying? That's how it goes. And then this is where you get this huge imbalance of men that are finally off the train, because the biggest people to vacate, the biggest demographic of men that's vacating this attention from women and not being feminine centered, I guess you could say. Like women like to say male centered attention or whatever. The men are avoiding that type of attention. Those guys are going to be, by and large, the men that are raised by women, because single parenthood created a whole bunch of men out of households that was raised by women. So those are the first men that's out. You know what I'm saying? That's out of the mix.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, shout out to my man Garfield. Hey.
Good evening.
Yeah, he enjoying his 3rd wedding anniversary. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him.
Happy anniversary.
Let me go ahead and hit him with a rap. Yeah, man. You know, this time last year, this time 3 years ago, we was at his wedding. You know what I'm saying? Watching him tie the knot and, you know, ride out into the sunset. So it's a good time. To be able to say you was there with somebody and see their life grow, whatever, you know. So, but yeah, the first men off the board, the guys that's been raised by women, they know all of the tricks. That's why they not
all the tricks.
You know all of the tricks. It was raised in a house with them.
Right.
So, like, nah.
And that's why they don't have no respect for them. That's why they have all these baby mamas, according to these second sis, you know.
X
don't have no respect. Yep. Mama didn't speak life, you know. And then, you know, a lot of men, they get that intimacy, that comfort, those hugs, that affection, those kisses from women when they intimate. You know, that's why, that's another, you know, that's why you got number 5.
Yep, for real. All of it's the same. Hey, all right, I'm gonna play something that's funny. I'm gonna offset some stuff real quick, and then we'll have a chuckle about something silly.
On the bed of the ocean,
yeah.
Like, and then it goes all the way down to the shore where there's a power plant, and in that power plant, like the turbines are actually spinning by wind. It's not like being because it's.
So what if it's not windy? Then they're just doing.
That's why they do it in windy places, because the turbines are being spun by wind, and that wind
I've
is
seen
creating electricity.
stagnant things.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about the ones to generate. I'm talking about the wind turbines for global warming.
What?
I thought that's what they were for, no?
Yeah,
Wind
yeah, because
turbines
it
for
is for
global
global warming because they're trying to
To
stop.
cool down the Earth.
Oh my god!
Oh shit! Is that what he thought? You thought it was like a fan, basically, bro. Just wear it.
No, okay, wait, hold on.
Listen.
What about? What about?
I'm done with you. I'm done with you. That's what I said for global warming. Wait, let's let him finish.
So when you think it's for global warming, what was you gonna say?
as in you're not using like any like greenhouse gases and all that kind of stuff. You're using like natural energy.
Yeah.
And you're turning wind energy into flipping electricity. Is that
what they're doing?
So you thought that it was cooling down stuff. You see this world. You don't know your friends. You don't know your friends. Before your friend knew, he's tapped.
He thought the fans were cooling down the
What did you
earth.
think?
Isn't that what you use? Isn't that what you use fans for?
It's not a fan.
It's a fan. What is it? A wind turbine? A fan,
It's
bruv.
not a fan, bruv. It's not a fan. It's
Oh
not
my
a fan.
God.
It's a fan, bruv.
This guy's an idiot.
It's a fan. Stand in front of it. I bet you'll be cold.
So what do you think they put on like free? You think they put on the set?
Oh my god.
Oh man. So, before I wanted to lighten the mood because you got a heavy topic today.
I know.
You got a heavy topic today, and I want it to be. I want you to have, you know what I'm saying, have your palate cleared to discuss this the way it needs to be discussed.
Yes.
And you know, let me set this topic up real quick. But yeah, like, so start I guess talk me through this as I manipulate it to make it look right on the screen.
Okay, so I want to give a disclaimer, because the conversation, well, in our community we play it off like we play about have you ever heard black people say like the good baby mamas have the bad baby fathers and the bad baby fathers have the good baby mamas? Like always the joke, the running joke.
Yeah.
So this disclaimer, I guess, it's for all the brothers that have bad baby mamas, and for all the women who choose deliberately every day to wake up and deny your child their right to know their father. We're not talking about the ones that have been irresponsible since the day you met them. We're not talking about the ones who suffer from substance abuse and addictions, the days that you know them. We're talking about the ones that you have blocked, the ones that you post about on social media, that you run this narrative that they don't care. And I just want to address why some black mothers keep their children away from their black fathers, even though these fathers are capable, they're willing, they're equally equipped, and to learn what the long-term consequences can be, and that's what I wanted to address today.
Okay. Well, we got the slides up, and what we want to talk about today is parental alienation. And I will be the slide flipper today. This presentation has been brought to you by Queen Smoke via Air the Fuck Out podcast in conjunction with Beyond the Algorithm over here at the Accountable Masculinity University platform. So let's go.
Okay, before I start talking about the rise, I want to let everybody know what parental alienation is in the black community. So they actually said it's a mental health term. A mental health term, because I feel like it is a mental illness. I really do. So this is a mental health term that describes a parent's intentional manipulation of a child to estrange them from the other parent. It's a mental health term that describes a parent's intentional manipulation of a child to estrange them from the other parent. The goal is to damage the child's relationship with the targeted parent and turn the child's emotions against them. This can happen during high conflict divorces when one parent uses the child to target the other. And in the community, baby mamas and baby daddies, they ain't even getting married. So this is just another situationship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Bam. Okay. Well, That is never thought about it being looked at as a mental illness, or but psh, everything's a mental illness when you don't understand it.
Mm. For real.
They were like, I don't understand why he did that, because they're mentally ill.
Right.
Simple answer, right?
Yes.
Let me know when to flip the slide. Just tell me next slide, and I got
Yes,
you.
next slide.
Let's
So
go.
I want to start off with the rise. This is for like the common. I'm gonna go like we're gonna go down memory lane. This is the common story that most of us hear about how these relationships occur, how these children are created, and how mama chooses to sever the ties. When she's no longer interested. So we're gonna talk about rise, and that's the connection. That's the initial attraction. It's spontaneous, passionate, often rooted in physical or surface level chemistry. Somebody sliding in your DMs, you sliding in somebody's DMs, seeing somebody in person, the gym, all these things. Like sometimes you when you meet people, you're pretty much doing stuff that feels good. You're in your moment. A lot of people drinking, a lot of people drugging. Different situations. But this is somebody that you feel like you connect with on that surface level. They look good, and yeah, you want to keep it going. In our community, we have short courting periods. It's crazy how when it comes to an outfit, somebody will plan a birthday outfit a whole year in advance, but become pregnant by a man 3 weeks into knowing him. That's it. We have limited time spent building emotional trust or understanding long-term compatibility. This is why when it's time for the baby shower, mama's usually by herself. When it's time to push in the delivery room, she's usually by herself, or there's stress in the relationship. There's a sever in the relationship because the courting period was so short. And just because you're compatible with somebody in the bedroom, that doesn't mean that you have long-term compatibility, especially as parents, And then in our dating, romantic is intense, but sometimes it's lacking in clear goals or values or plans for the future. No sexual boundaries and no relationship commitment. AKA y'all sneaky links. You know what I mean? Y'all friends with benefits. Y'all DTF. This is what a lot of our culture is based on. It's in the music. It's in the media. It's all over, especially in the Black community. We always hypersexualize our men and women. We hypersexualize our children. So when we talk about pair bonding, it's just short term. It's not anything we're vetting on. It's not any criteria that we have. And this is how a lot of women get, how we struggle to maintain a connection, maintain a household with a Black man. Next slide.
Before we go to
absolutely.
What I want to do is I'm probably jumping here from time to time to show like the male side of things.
Absolutely.
So because it's not just the women that you're talking to and the men, of course, and explaining it, but
Absolutely.
men talk about this stuff too. And I came up with this acronym. It's called SUDDEN. Sexually undisciplined dating decisions ended negatively.
That's a heavy hitter. That's a heavy hitter.
It's like it's a double entendre, because like name something that you do suddenly that's usually pretty productive. Nothing.
Not off the nothing.
So if you apply the energy from doing something suddenly to a reproductive act, it's probably going to end very negatively.
Right.
So just wanted to throw that out there.
Absolutely.
Ready for the next slide?
Yes. And then when we have these relationships or lack thereof, we go into something called transitioning, or this is the unplanned life shift, aka the pregnancy. It's often unplanned. Like I said, this is your sneaky link. This is somebody that's coming past midnight. This is somebody that they don't post you. You guys don't have no titles. Probably got a woman. You okay with that? This is somebody that is purely sexual. And I want to emphasize these relationships. I know every child wasn't created, but too many was not to discuss this, Birth control access, education gaps, or casual attitudes toward protection can play a role. When we say my body, my choice, you don't ever leave your life in the hands of no man, especially if you don't know him. And I'll say that again. When you say your body, your choice, you don't ever leave your life and your body and your decision-making in the hands of a man that you barely know.
Come on.
Because what is he gonna do? He gonna shoot every time. And I'm sorry.
He gonna shoot the block up.
I gotta keep it real, especially if he don't know you. Why would you? Like, come on. That's like leaving your house open in the middle of the night.
That's what he gonna do when he get in there every time. If you
Every time.
Every time.
You know, stress and expectations rise. And this is the relationship, the part of it that's tested. Because remember, it wasn't one at first. So financial strain, emotional immaturity, and communication breakdowns begin to show.
Yep.
And a lot of the times, if it's your sneaky link, the dad, he has to process it. He don't really know you, but y'all connected. So a lot of women, you guys don't even give the dad time to come around or process it. And you have a strict timeline to save face. Like you want him to marry you by the end of the 9 months, even though you don't even know this man. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, you see that this person's immature. This is when you start to know people. That's why it's so imperative when it comes to creating life with somebody. You got to get past that honeymoon stage. You got to let the mask fall off. Even if it's not that much to handle, because some people are really, really compatible, even when the masks fall off. Like, we still can make it work, and, we doing right by each other, things of that nature. It's great mothers out here, great fathers out there, and great families out here as well, However, and it's not just, like you said, it's not just immaturity on this man's part. It's emotional immaturity on the woman's part. Because a lot of women, they talk about postpartum rage and being so mean when they're pregnant, but a lot of the times that's, you just being that way just because you can. Because pregnancy gives you an excuse to be a demon sometimes.
Yep.
And everybody's okay with that. You know what I'm saying? So on your side, as far as the transition unplanned life shift, how do you feel it will be on the other side, on the other end?
It depends on the maturity of the man. Because like the man in that situation, if he's already done this multiple times with multiple women, he might not care. But
come on now,
yeah, come on. Like, why would he care if nobody else was able to, become his wife or so, become a consistently present father,
Right.
And on the men's side, I would say, was he raised with his father? There's a big difference in just knowing your dad and being raised with him underneath the same roof.
Right. Absolutely.
Because like a man's going to accept whatever norm produced him until he has to make a different adjustment. But like if he never saw his dad make a commitment to any of the women that he made, that he made other children with, then he's not going to see a necessity of why he need to live in the house with a woman, and that's the other thing too. Has the woman on that side, did he choose a woman that most likely a man chose a woman that he knows what his limitations are. So if she ain't never had nobody, he the best thing smoking since the last thing that she had, as far as she knows that she upgraded, and even though he might still be substandard, she don't know the difference.
Right.
Because her best relationship abused her before he came along. So all he got to do is just not hit her or not be abusive, and that still don't make him a good father.
Right.
Barely make him a decent human being, probably.
Right.
So I think from the man's side, it is still. This is why vetting is so important for women, because if he changes his mind, it's a different scenario. He's not impacted. He got no obligation if there's no connection. There's no you can't manufacture an obligation for a man. He has to decide how important is his consistent presence in the growth of his child going to be. And if he don't like the woman, he's less likely to be there. I've said this countless times. I think the easiest thing for a woman to do is be in a relationship, because all you got to do is literally be nice.
Right.
Be nice, and be nice to the right guy.
Right.
And don't let your hormonal attractions rule your decision making. Because you don't get everything. You know what I'm saying? You got to get out of your Disney delusion and thinking that just because he got you pregnant, that he wants to be your husband, that he wants to
Right.
be present. But if he wasn't raised like that, you're taking a huge gamble.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. You could go to the next slide. So then this is the fall. And this is the relationship deterioration. This is where the woman becomes resentful, feels abandoned or unsupported. Distrust of the man's commitment starts to grow. And I want to say this is around the time when you be like, oh, you know, I'm doing it by myself. You haven't come to no doctor's appointments. Or if he wants to, once again, you pushing him out because, oh, I'm going through it. If you pretty much, if he don't want to sign up for you and the baby, he can't participate. You know, if he wants to just be there, like, I'll come for the baby, you want it to look like y'all together. So this is when you start to become resentful. You feel like you're doing motherhood alone. She chooses it. She chooses or is forced to raise the child alone, feeling it's better than dealing with inconsistent or toxic involvement. But the thing that I have to draw like a line for you guys is that it was inconsistent and toxic before you even got pregnant, you know? And I know that a lot of people don't want to admit that because it holds the accountability if I brought my child into a situation that I knew from the beginning wasn't the best thing I knew I wanted. Everybody chews out of brokenness. And when you do that, it's you make some bad decisions, you know?
yep.
And then finally, mothers that block the father's involvement, sometimes out of hurt, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of bitterness. And it may also stem from her own father's unreliability and her own trauma as well. And that's a lot of the times what it is too, especially if it's their first baby. Her father not being there, not having those formative years of protection and provision of her own dad, flesh and blood. Like I said, without sex, your father just loves you for existing. You know, the men of your family love you for existing. And a lot of the times, women don't hear love, you know, or a man saying that they love them or doing things for them until they already, you know, lost their virginity or being with them, relationship wise. So, not having that, a lot of black men are fighting black women's fathers' battles, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of sisters don't want to admit. It's not your fault, and it didn't start with you.
Man, look, that's so true because those demons never really go away. They just they get worse.
Right.
Without dealing with them honestly. And I say that because, you know, we talk all of the time and we could literally see what women are wrestling with.
Mm-hmm.
And long before they get a man in their life, they got problems with their mothers.
Right.
If they mom had a rough pregnancy with them and they already come from a family that has competitive women for no reason, then they're already in a resentful energy as it is. The man has no idea what he's walking into in those situations.
Absolutely.
Especially if you come from a household where you got women that's had more baby showers than dates.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. There's plenty of women out there that got way more kids than they've been on dates. They'll get a baby. I'm telling you, they will make a baby for the wrong man before they make a sandwich for the right one. And these guys need to hear this because they don't know what they're walking into.
Right.
And just because you got kids and you might be doing, let's just say even the guys with kids, you might be doing the right thing. But you need to read the room because you're probably raised just like the women that you're going to attract.
Right.
Because you're going to get some attention. You're never going to stop getting that because the women are looking for a man to balance out their parenting situation. They're not going to come out and say it. They'll put them in football, and basketball, and sports and try to use it as daycare, but it does not replace a constant presence of a man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then we go into the cycle continuing, you know, the single mother burnout, feeling overwhelmed, angry, emotionally drained. She may struggle to model healthy relationships, dynamics for her children. And I want to say about the single mother burnout, it's something that can be healed by picking up the phone, by unblocking that man, by collaborating and communicating with the person that you willingly lay down with. You know what I mean? That single mother burnout is a badge of honor for a lot of you. Literally taking medication, high blood pressure, going through it, getting calls from schools, behavior problems, one kid locked up, this kid doing this. Collaborate. This is why so many, big mama sick, foot getting cut off, gout, all these health issues, mental health, us getting, being diagnosed with at a higher rate now of mental disorders, mental health disorders. Our children having mental health disorders because burnt out. But you will be burnt out and get the sympathy of, oh man, it's so much. The burden is so big. Collaborate with that man. The fathers are often absent due to legal issues, financial instability, or emotional immaturity. Going back to he was going through legal issues, financial instability, and emotional immaturity before you had that baby with him. We gotta call a spade a spade. We can't keep playing with y'all because I'm not gonna keep playing. Your child grows up in dysfunction, often repeats the cycle, lacking a model of stable love. They may fear commitment, which we already discussed, mistrust their partners, or enter parenthood themselves unprepared. And the perception of a Black curse. It's a cultural narrative fueled by generational trauma, systemic oppression, and internalized stereotypes.
You know, I talked to a female coaching client of mine the other day, and she saw a stream that I did with another content creator. And somewhere in there, we had a discussion about how survival mode triggers a woman's reproductive mindset. Like being under stress makes a lot of women seek reproduction. I think about it like that because when you're in survival mode, you're doing the very thing. You're hyper focused on something that your body is telling you to do. It's like you ever been driving and you knew you hadn't eaten anything and then you ended up in a drive-through somewhere,
right?
or like when you get sleepy and you can't do anything about it, your body will go to sleep. You don't have no control over that. Like, absolutely. I think the same thing is probably true, at a biological level. Like if you're pushed mentally, I think your mind starts sending signals to your body to, hey, you need to make a baby. You know what I'm saying? They probably won't come out and say it. They probably don't have the words, even given that kind of grace. But if it's true for men that when they're out moving around and trying to, provide for themselves, they're moving around in some level of survival mode, and they're being very strategic about what they're doing, and the opportunity to connect with a woman on a random presents itself. You ever hear all this time, like when men say, "I'd never get noticed unless I'm in a relationship." When I was single, women don't pay me any attention.
Yeah.
When you're in a relationship, all women can kind of like smell it on them. It's like an unwritten reality. You know what I'm saying? That's there because I believe that we give off something, pheromone wise, that makes you notice who's noticing you. Because if you are not looking for a relationship, you don't notice people because you don't know where to go. But once you do have a relationship on you, then it affects you in a different type of way. It affects people around you, So I said all that to say that just to throw the idea out there, if everything's true, you know what I'm saying? If men can present themselves as women nowadays and people can turn boys into princesses and that argument is always there, then I believe that instinctually a lot of women that are in survival mode are more prone to reproduce. Because that's why it happens amongst poor people so much.
Absolutely, facts. They said that too. A poor woman will have 3-4 more kids than the average working class or middle class and upper class woman.
Yeah,
their averages too.
Man, something about being broke that make them fertile, I guess.
Man,
there you go.
Okay, so you got addressing the guilty mothers with honesty, not blame. You were hurt first. Many mothers started as young women who were abandoned, lied to, or let down. So they took control by pushing the father out. And sometimes, a lot of young ladies, especially if they weren't taught, weren't given any conversations, just told to don't have sex and don't bring no grandbabies to my house. You would notice the signs of abandonment, and you would notice the manipulation and the lies. And if you had your father in your life, you would notice those things faster, you know? So a lot of young ladies got deceived, but they participated in their own deception, if that makes sense, you know?
Oh yeah, I did a show about that one. I said, man, we deceive ourselves first because like we have to be the final person to put the stamp of delusion on everything.
Right. Absolutely.
Because somebody told you something that if you talked to 2 more people about it, you probably wouldn't do it. If you felt the need to, you know, and if you gave them the 5 W's, the who, what, where, when, and why, and if you talk to them, they're probably like, "Yeah, it's a bad idea." You know, you need to put that one on the back burner for a minute and pay it some attention later. But yeah,
you chose pride over peace, but you do it in pain. So some choose independence as a badge of strength, but in doing so, unintentionally shut the door on co-parenting. That's where you get that single mama burnout. I do this, I do that, and the world gonna give you a pat on your back because so many mothers are in the same boat. But all you have to do is, like I said, pick up that phone, collaborate, get out your ego. This is about your child. There's no redos, there's no rewinds. And one day your child is gonna be able to express how they feel, say how they feel, and you're gonna be having to own up to that, or else you might get cut off too, you know?
Man, that's the period that we're in right now with the onset of social media in the last few years. A lot of parents are being shown who they are and what they raised by their children.
Absolutely.
And you can't run from it. This stuff is getting here a whole lot faster. Accountability is a whole lot different, and it's like you can't say that your children, if you take pride in all your children's successes, take credit for all of the failures too that they did with you. And the reality is that whether you think that you were a young parent or not, some of y'all had a period in life where you was a bad parent. And that moment of poor parenting set that current exchange up in your child. That's why they talking to you the way they talk to you, or don't respect, or going no contact, or raising their children away from you and different than the way that you raised them, you know, without your input. So you know why the same energy that's present, like think about it, right? Romantic energy will make you get away from somebody that mistreats you very quickly, right?
Right.
So you break that up. Business energy, if they're not doing business right for the same reasons, same principles, maybe not the same reason, but the same principle. You're being dishonest, you're not being transparent about something, right? You get away from that. The only relationship that we give that much of a pass before we get to parental alienation is friendships. We give women give energy to the wrong friendships all the time that don't help them, right?
Serve them, don't help them grow.
Because all of them are like in the same boat, like you said before in this parenting conversation. And then the last stepping stone before you've ruined all of these other relationships, or not even ruined it, but they've revealed themselves to you and you choose to connect to them or put distance between you and that, is the one that most women have with their mother.
Right.
They will spend their dying days trying to people please their mother into acceptance when they've raised them to be exactly who they are, and they don't know that they're, whether it be by mannerism, expression, or decision making, they're still raised with the mindset of their mothers, and now they're trying to parent out of revenge. I'm gonna be a better mother to my children than you were to us. It's not, I want to be a good mother like you and learn from you and be mentored by you.
Right.
There's no opportunity or space for mentorship because there's so much resentment for how that particular the young woman that's in that position with her mother, she don't have the room for it.
Right.
Because you got plenty of these mothers that will not apologize to their children
at all. You called him deadbeat before he failed. Some men were labeled before they had a real chance to grow into the role of fatherhood. Criticism crushed their confidence. And I just want to read that again because I think this is something that a lot of Black women don't get. You called him deadbeat before he failed. Some men were labeled before they had a real chance to grow into the role of fatherhood. Criticism crushed their confidence. A lot of y'all talk to dogs better than you do to your baby fathers and the men that you have children with. You guys talk to animals better. You guys treat strangers better. You guys go in the office and treat your boss better. But this is the person that you went half on a baby with. Some of y'all have no communication. Some of y'all communicate through the children. Some of y'all allow the children to have the relationship. Oh, invite your daddy to your game. Oh, invite your mama to that award ceremony. It's really petty. You know what I mean? And the day you signed up to be a parent, it didn't come with a manual, but you need to mature into that. You need to be a parent. The child's best interest should come first. You should always let them know and have the decision making to choose who their parent really is, who their father really is. Some Black men, they feel punished. They missed so much time with their children. If they don't do things your way, even though there's so many different ways to change a diaper, there's different ways to feed a child. But if they don't do it your particular way, you feel like it's not important. When the bond is the most important.
Yeah, I can see that too because I've talked to some men that feel you. I mean, like you went down to the minuscule details. That little stuff right there adds up because the woman is responsible for the psychological bond between the child and the father because the woman has the advantage of the maternal advantage because the baby was inside her and then the baby needs her. My wife even talked about this about the responsibility that women have in connecting that child and that father is way greater than what people think.
Absolutely.
And she talked about the things she's discussed with me in her own journey is that women have the primary agency of the psychological imprint on that child. You know, how that child sees the world goes through the shaping of the world by that mom. Right. A lot of these women were already delusional before they had babies. And they still think that they have the same leverage and the same social leverage prior to having a baby. But if you didn't have a kid before, you're a mother now. You have to look at the world like a mother. Like you want your individuality and all of that stuff to be on the same level of prioritization, and it can't be because if you're prioritizing yourself and your goals ahead of your child, you're just a bad parent.
Right.
There's just literally no in between because if you put a man in that situation, he's gonna be considered a bad parent. He's gonna be you already calling him a deadbeat before he had a chance to fail, like you said.
Right.
So you're in effect creating the deadbeat too. You're sitting up, setting these obstacles up, and then trying to grade him on how he dodged your obstacles. That's pure insanity, you know. That's almost like I always say, if you can make it about sex, right? And still like, well, what about this or what about that? Change it to racism. Change it to racism. Now, who's the oppressor in the situation? Because now you'd have in effect, the woman would be the equivalent of a racist white man setting up all type of obstacles for the black person to fail or the non-white person to fail, you know? So that's why, like, when you hear guys saying they the ops, they work for the system, they do this, you know, they do that, you know, but if you choose poorly, you're going to get this type of friction, you know? So what puts a person in the mindset to create obstacles for the other person on the intangible is never going to make sense to me. But this is why this is so important, because you're going to be hooked to this person as long as the kid's alive, you know?
Right.
And don't let it be a child that has special needs.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Man, come on, man. Nobody ever takes that into consideration either. They worried about cheating, STDs, and everything else, but they never take into consideration that what if the child has a special needs condition.
That's the truth. You use the child as a shield. The child becomes a pawn, a reason to punish the father or protect yourself from future pain. And you didn't forgive, you fortified. Instead of healing, you built emotional walls. Walls that kept him out, but also kept your child from seeing how reconciliation works. Because like you just said, mama teaches everything, especially if you're doing it by yourself. Being a single mom, you're going to teach everything. Your kid is learning everything from you. How to emotionally regulate, how to disagree, how to agree, how to agree to disagree. They're learning how to communicate, how to show up in the world, how to be professional. If they're going to be married or unmarried, they're learning everything from you. So when you hold that resentment, it's not only resentment for their father, it's resentment for them. That's still them. You think that, oh, I love my baby so much, but loving your child so much requires collaboration with their other parent, with their father. Like, you have to love your child more than you can't stand the man you lay down with. Because it's all a choice. Everything's a choice. Your child is not independent of their parent, you know? This is the person that you imprinted DNA with, that you coded and copied with. It's a big deal. But everybody act like it's not. It's a really big deal. You mixed your whole bloodline with someone else. It shouldn't be taken lightly, and you shouldn't be distancing your kid from somebody who can actually collaborate and contribute to them growing up and developing. Nobody asks for perfection because you're not perfect. There's so many mamas out here that's not perfect. We went over that last week. Watch that video, you know? So many children out here with tooth decay. So many children out here with STDs. So many children out here, you know, in foster care. So many children getting unalived by their mothers, and so many children unaliving their mothers. So many juvenile delinquents. So many children in having behavior issues at school, reading below grade level. This is what y'all showing up as, mama. So you can't possibly think that you're doing all right. You surviving and you maintaining. You're not even maintaining well because your children are failing. So you do need help from somebody. And who better than the person that helped you if they're willing and able? It's some moms that keep the relationship going when the father's in jail. You know, they still try to have him call, reach out to the kid, their child. And, you know, they try. So if you have somebody that he's a hard worker, he show up, let him show up. It's not about you. A lot of you guys have the bitter feelings from whatever y'all went through previous. And that can't be a part of the conversation, especially when you weren't committed. You can't expect a husband out of your sneaky link. I'm just being honest, you know. You just can't.
To go from sneaky link to husband is crazy.
You know, and it was an agreement, but somehow a lot of women, and I get it, because like I always say, Black women, we have the high risk of, you know, us or our infants, something happened before we leave in the hospital. We had a greater risk, you know, gaining weight, feet swelling up, backache, all these things, and a lot you're doing alone, you know, shopping, everything, financial contributions. But if this person is showing up, and I know you have salty feelings because you're like, dang, I needed the support when I was pregnant. I get it. Like, I'm not excusing anyone. But what I'm saying is the past is the past. And what are you going to do moving forward? What can they do to reconcile? What can they do to help you out? Because holding those bitter feelings for a lifetime is not going to be, it's going to be counterproductive for you and your child. The thing is, a lot of you think that you're just punishing the dad for doing what you're doing, but your child is the one. Even if they, you know, everybody's afraid of mama, so they're not going to come out and say it. Like, I miss my daddy. I want to see my dad. I want to know my dad. Because you shut them down anyway. But internally, that's what they want. They want the connection, and they want to be around their dad. Good, bad, and ugly. Just like they're around your nappy-headed ass. Good, bad, and ugly. I'm not throwing shots. I'm just saying because mama's not perfect, you know?
No, you're just telling the truth. You know,
mama's not
everybody
perfect.
got limitations.
Like, you get a lot of grace. Mama get a lot of grace. Daddy don't get nothing, like, you know? And a lot of good fathers out there, they raising other children, but it's still a hole in their heart because they want to raise all their children, you know? They remarried and they moved on, and you mad about that. But you looking for stepdaddy on every social media platform, but the dad can't be happy, you know? Y'all ready to sign a stepdaddy up every day of the week, but let your baby father, the person you had a child with, get a girlfriend, get a wife. It's World War III. You feel like your motherhood is being walked on, and if you feel like your child can't love nobody else, another woman, but they can love a lot of men, another man and another man and another man. You know what I'm saying? But don't let the baby father be happy. It's a problem, and I'm not the person that's gonna be shy and scared to say it. It is what it is. I'm not gonna speak it and be so bold and shout it to the mountaintops and proclaim it if it wasn't true. And that's why I get attacked so much, because it's true. It's true. We use these kids like carrots in front of a man's face. You know, you don't want to deal with them, but you still want the emotion of all these baby fathers. You want to be the favorite baby mama, the pretty baby mama. Y'all brag about it online. I don't have to lie on you. I don't have to do anything. Y'all create the content for us. It's going to be created for life because you overshare everything on the internet. Y'all overshare everything and y'all post everything, and it's no class, nobody has taste anymore. Y'all in competition with each other, you know, and the children suffer because it's gender wars and it's really a war amongst us, you know, it's no sisterhood. So the children are learning how to be sneaky and tricky and mean and evil and sneaky, and it's not from daddy because daddy not there according to y'all, you know. This is like the error of y'all ways, these children.
Look, the part where the men aren't there, like, and how it happens is insane, because I went through I had a Tiffany on the other day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I did a segment with her about why is it happening this way. You know, I'm gonna cut to the video in a second when it comes up. Here we go. They would rather have their trauma in a relation. They rather be in a relationship with their trauma than be in a relationship with their children. And that is a hard sell. And then the next thing they do is a deflection. And then when you think about it, when you were growing up, you just thought that that's the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the type of life you have to lead in this era of accountability, when I say not era, but era of technology creates accountability. There's a footprint, there's a screenshot that goes with everything. There's an email, there's a paper trail. There's a lot of connectivity between you and whoever else. So you got to be careful who you talk to. Whereas before, you can kind of discard people. You can compartmentalize a whole lot differently because there's no paper trail behind everything until that side family pulls up at the funeral, or somebody saw you at somebody else's house one night and confirm some kind of suspicions or whatever. All of these skeletons start coming out of the closet, and then the women have been deflecting onto the men for ages, because I think black men get blamed for too much. Because how is it possible that we don't own anything but get blamed for everything?
Well, because you're not there. Because you don't own anything, you get blamed for everything. And look at it societally. Black people, what do we own? 1/10 of 1% of this country's wealth. We get blamed for everything.
Yep.
The prison is full of us. We are less than 13% of the population. How are we anywhere near the numbers we represent in prison? Because if you're not there, if you're not financially represented, politically represented in this country, then you get the shit into the stick, and that is the way that it works. I think that Black people do themselves an injustice focusing so deeply on relationship issues when we really should look at this thing more globally. We own 1/10 of 1% of this country's wealth, and if you don't believe it, look it up. And it may be less than that. And we are the most, we spend the most, but we have the less rights. And it just really doesn't make any sense from a capitalistic standpoint until you look at it and say the people who are well represented financially are the least of these in the prisons. How many Asians do you see in the prison system? How many Arab people do you see in the prison system? Okay, now go back and look and see how much of our country they own. And that'll make sense. It'd be you. Yes, the daddy get blamed in the house because he wasn't there. And you get scapegoated because my mother would say, how are you blaming the parent who's...
She was about to go into the parent that stayed, but that feeds what you're talking about here, you know, because we know that we have worn more than we should.
Right.
And that's the accountability that people walk around with every day. You know, once they understand that, hey, look, I can't keep blaming the other person. I got to fix it. You can't fix something and blame at the same time. So
you could go forward with the slide.
Let's go.
Okay, you wanted him to fight harder. This is another one I want to discuss, but you also made it impossible. Demanded he be a man while not allowing him space to stumble or learn. A lot of y'all say, take me to court. Why? When them draws are so easy to drop, why he got to go to court? It's nerve-wracking to me, you know? Could have gave you AIDS, but you got pregnant instead. Why he got to go to court? I don't trust him. He this, he that. You knew all that. Why he got to go to court? Because this man is your equal. So you can't possibly be that much better than him. You got a kid with him. You know?
Yep. I've been saying that nobody can lay down with somebody that's better than them. That there's equal parts between a man and woman when it comes down to self-esteem and confidence. If you got fake confidence, you're gonna get played by a sucker, man or woman. And so you can run around here advertising yourself as being this hyper confident person, or faking it till you make it. And then when you fake it, you're gonna end up making a baby with the wrong person, you know. So like your self-esteem cannot be. There's only so long the facade can withstand criticism or well, if somebody actually starts looking at it and like, damn, you're a flawed individual, you know, or you're missing a lot of pieces in this particular area, you know, despite how pretty you might be or how much money you might have, you know. So the character part is going to shine through. And when you see that character, that's the very behavior that they're going to raise a child with if they have them. Or be absent with. So there ain't too many things that you could do to avoid that other than just choosing better.
You taught your child mistrust, saying you don't need them. It became a wound that taught your child to fear love, not just their father. You were exhausted and alone, but angry too. Rightfully tired, but sometimes bitter, and that bitterness leaked into your parenting. You blamed the curse instead of confronting choices. It's easier to say this always happens than to face your role and continue in the pattern. You loved your child, but you lost yourself, and in losing yourself, you forgot how to model love, forgiveness, or teamwork, even when it's imperfect.
Ooh. Let me hold up. Let me get you a media asset on it. That's what's wrong with everybody that's in this situation, because you didn't fix yourself.
Absolutely. And I think I was taught very young by both my parents about parenthood and, mating and finding a partner, not to just bring a kid here with anybody, like you said, you don't know if you'll have a special needs child. You don't know if you'll have a child that has a medical condition, needs, more finances, anything. You don't know if your child gonna come out with all their limbs. Let's be honest.
Yep.
We don't know. When you mixing your bloodline, your DNA with anybody, you don't know. Even when you in love with your husband and you guys planned it and you're intentional, you still don't know.
Right.
So what's the guarantee? It's no guarantee. The only thing that could possibly be a little better is, because I never hear, I'm not gonna say that no black men say it, but I don't often hear black men say everybody don't want to be married. I don't hear that from black brothers. I don't. I hear that from the sisters. Everybody don't want to be married. You can't possibly tell me that you didn't consider marriage, you didn't think about it, because, like I said, nobody's laying on their back pushing the child out could possibly really die. We're not talking about the complications, also medical professionalism, the lack of care in the medical field for us. You can't possibly tell me that you didn't think about a family with this man. You considered it.
Yep.
You think about it. Some of y'all had the kid because you really wanted that la fairy tale and thought that, yes, we're going to make it work, So marriage was on the table until you realize it's off the table for you,
Come on now.
These babies deserve more from us, If they dad, I feel like a lot of mothers, they'd be jealous as well because you didn't have a dad. So you still got to see this man that it didn't work out between y'all, but he's showing up for his daughters. A lot of mothers jealous of their daughters. So to see why do you think they have that social media trend? My daughter stole my man,
Yes.
And everybody said, oh, it's just for fun, but it's a child. It's an infant. Why would you even make a trend like that? What's fun about it? What are we playing about? I see that as like real shade. I'm not saying you don't love your daughter. I'm not saying you're not going to treat her well, but I'm saying it's a hint of jealousy. Y'all really think that way. That's why when your daughters get a certain age and it's not her daddy living in your house, she got to go, or you're beating her, or you know what I mean? Your man puts the phone her. That is the truth. You feel away. You feel slighted. So when this man is loving your daughter, you feel slighted. When this man is teaching your son Like I said, a lot of y'all have those. You coddle your son, so you don't want their dad to chastise them, and then you asking for the help. So you kind of sabotage your own kid. You can't love yourself. You can't love your kids as much as you claim when you sabotage them from birth. You don't allow their daddy to be there. You don't allow their daddy to participate into the, it's a participation, it's a birthright. It's not really participation, it's a birthright. You don't allow their fathers that you chose, emphasis on you choosing. And a lot of these women, the reason why, like you always say, the man shows you what you felt about yourself at that time. That's why you don't want to be around. Because a lot of y'all feel like I outgrown that man. Because a lot of y'all turning up and doing them drugs and drinking and doing all that nasty, ratchet, reckless behavior with the man.
Yep.
Somebody have to grow up to be the parent, and it's gonna be you.
Yep. You raising children on low self-esteem is dangerous.
Very dangerous.
It's
very,
low,
very dangerous.
It's low self-esteem kids, and like we know we've had enough discussion about the mindset that your children inherit from you, right? Mm-hmm. You get yours from your parents, and somehow, and I bet that this is true in every generation. At some point, that generation realizes, like, oh, my kid doesn't just act like me; they think like me.
Right.
They make decisions like me. Like, oh, I'd have messed this kid up. You know what I'm saying? When they realize, I think I spoiled him too much. I think I did this.
Right.
Kind of correct it, but that mindset being passed down with the behaviors and activities, like I started writing books because I realized that you learn how to read people before you learn how to read words. Books long before. Like, think about it. Your kids in general, if you watch them, before they're literate in actual literature, they're literate in communication.
Right.
They can squeeze their hand when they're hungry, for a bottle.
Right.
They can cry to get attention, because if that's the only way they can get somebody's attention, they can cry. They learn to lie.
Yes.
They learn to lie. So who teaches them to lie? Like, some of them, they already know how to lie too, but some of them have a greater propensity for it.
Right.
And then the environment that you give them is going to enhance the good and the bad parts about them. So you still have to create a controlled environment where they can fail and learn, But if your environment ain't stable, they might fall and never get back up. One thing happens to them and sets them up for failure. I've heard plenty of stories from women that remember things that happened to them when they were 2, 3. I don't remember a lot of stuff that it's interesting how a woman's mind works and what they're able to recall and what they're able and what they block out. But those emotions, that feeling of abandonment, that lack of validation that a lot of women complain about in their 40s, it's been there since they was kids, since they were single digit age, because they were raised in without. So in a place of neglect. Let me know you ready to slide.
Yeah, the next slide, please. So how to do better as a mother. You got to be real with yourself. You got to own where that pain turned into pride or control. Stop bad mouthing them. Even if your child is not around, just you speaking negative to your friends, to your family about them, it speaks volumes about you. Leave it alone. Your child hears it. It shapes how they love him, and it shapes how they love themselves. Let him try if he's safe. And I want to say safe as far as, like, not up to your standards, because a lot of y'all just don't want your child out your sight, and that's unrealistic. You can't be a helicopter parent, especially with the other one. You have to share, Growth takes time. Don't block. Don't change out of old hurt. Don't block change out of old hurt. So, like, even if you, like, I'll give you 3 hours. If he, build up to whatever. But, like, don't just say no and don't just cut it off, because that's gonna, your kid gonna be like, damn, mama mean. Like, why I can't go with my parent? Why I can't go with my dad?
Yep.
You're not the only person that loves your child. You're not the only person that cares. You're not the only person that considers them. Heal your own wounds, because a lot of people, that like everybody loves to say there's no manual with parenting, but a lot of y'all knew that y'all shouldn't be parents in the first place. You still have the same depression, you still have the same anger, you still have the same disrespect, and now you're teaching somebody else to model that. So you have to heal those. Therapy helps, but therapy only helps if you tell the truth and if you're willing to do the work. Rest works, and joy works, and finding you again. It all helps. Modeling healthy love, even without a partner, show your child what love looks like, what friendship looks like, what a relationship with your mom looks like. Show your child what speaking life looks like, because you think they so little they're not going to absorb your negative behavior and your negative ways and your negative habits. That's false. So model that through friendship, model that through being a really good person. Don't pretend. Showing them what boundaries look like, showing them what forgiveness looks like. Talking about these cycles, naming these patterns, breaking these patterns, and showing your child a different way. They don't have to keep doing the same thing. You don't have to keep doing the same thing. Because everybody, when it's time to grade your paper, everybody want to go run and hide their hand. But when it's time to get down on your mom and tell your mom about how she was wrong, everybody got a lot to say. Always remember that one day your paper going to get graded too, Okay. You can either end this curse or you can keep it going. But your child is going to be a reflection of who you are. And like I said, you can't rewind that. You can't change that. You can't go back. There's no redos. There's no repeats. The final product is the final product. That's going to be what you get. And you can't be mad at that.
You can't. You did it.
Absolutely.
So this is the end of a great presentation that you got here. And before we move on, we're going to get you a round of applause for your homework.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we're going to get to the comments at this time. And I want to pull up, let me put us both up here for a second. Let me start at the top. Well, nah, we don't need anything from you on Twitch. Quick hand. I set my mouse pad up very quickly. Let's see. Let me start with Jessica, because we're going to run it down. She's been running. So you need some sort of priority as a mother, though. It's easy to get lost in this web, but I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah, you have to that's the part I was talking about, the thin line between being a bad parent and prioritizing yourself. You have to be disciplined about it. You can't be undisciplined about it. There's just no room for error. There's literally no room for error even without kids. But then when you got them, you got even less for margin, because it don't take much to take you out of the way.
That's how they be like, where you learn them cuss words from? Ooh, why she dancing like that? You.
Yeah. Being so bitter that you can't see that your child needs their father is insane, but looking for a new daddy daily. Ooh-wee. See, this is why like the responsible women that I know that are mothers, I want them to be available to talk about these things, because they can tell when they got irresponsible women that's willing to be in the mix with other women and masquerade, and they basically farming that energy off of them, like, oh, I'm just as good as you guys. No, you're not.
Right.
No, you're not. You can't be. Everybody can't be good. So there's some bad parents out there. So, you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. Shout out to you, because you always supporting, but that's the truth, Like I said, you're only looking at, and a lot of it is just to hurt the dad. I want him to see me with somebody else, or I want to see his kid happy with somebody else. I want him to feel some of these niggas don't care about you. And I just want to say that again. Some of these men, some of these niggas that you choose do not care. They don't have they don't have the capacity to care. So you can't think that destroying your life and keeping your child away from their parents is going to do anything when they don't care. Like, you're creating this bond, and some of the fathers don't care. But the ones that do care, they're not going to keep caring forever. They're going to move on with their life. And you can't paint these characteristics about somebody that did try. They're going to move on. That's just humans. They're going to move on, because a dad, I'm in a couple of Black Daddy Proud Dads, Proud Black Dads. There's so many Black brothers in there that are going through the same thing we discussed, and that's why I really did, pull my heartstrings to discuss this, because a lot of black dads, the group is like, I want to say over 10,000 dads, you know?
Mhm.
Some have custody, some fighting battles and all this. But I remember one member, it was last year, he took his own life. And I believe it was last Father's Day, a black father, because he was fighting this battle for years. I think 5 years trying to get his son. But it just got tired, you know? Like we said, going back to those unaliving rates going higher. A lot of you mothers, if you didn't see your son or your sons or your daughters, your children, if you couldn't see them for a day, you would lose your mind. But somehow in that same mind, you think it's okay for a father not being able to see their child for 3 and 6 months and a year plus and 5 years plus. You think that's totally fine. And the thing is, you laughing at that man's pain, but you're not looking at the deterioration with your own relationship with your child. You're not looking at the weight of the world on your child's shoulder because all they need is extra support. You can't meet those needs by yourself. And that's all I'm trying to say is like, you can't pour from an empty cup. You do have to prioritize yourself, but like prioritizing yourself is also knowing when enough is enough and when you need help. And a lot of y'all, it's still like misplaced love. It's still disappointment. It's still anger. It's still wanting to be a family with this man. That's really why you don't want to look him in his eye and have an adult, mature conversation. But you guys will love to put that on black men, that narrative that they immature and that they all emotional and that they sassy, but y'all can't look them in the eye. The same man that was giving you back shots, you can't look him in the eye and say what y'all gonna do with this kid for their life. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, that's the homegirls. Everything about this man, everything you don't like, but you don't want to sit down and discuss it with him. Got to be real.
Come on. If you're single and you have multiple free my baby posts about your children, you failed as a mother. Yep.
Absolutely.
Send them down the road. They don't go to court for fear it's a waste of time, so the woman always wins. Yeah, I've seen the courts are definitely in favor of the woman. It takes a lot to prove a negligent parent, but if you don't fight at all, then you definitely don't have a chance at winning if you're in that situation.
And the thing is, though, a lot of brothers got to stop being afraid, stop being intimidated by the paperwork, because wherever you live across the country, there's legal aid help in the especially in California where I am, there's legal assistance to help you. People there all day to help you bust down that paperwork, to help you. Don't feel intimidated. You know, once you break down that packet, get everything done, and serve her paper sheet, they love to say court because, like she said, they fear that they're empowered the fact that you're not going to be there. A lot of brothers have records. A lot of brothers don't like dealing with the police, and black women know that. We weaponize that. That's the truth. Yeah. So they take me to court, and when you really do, watch that bitch don't fall to the floor, because I don't respect no woman that keep playing games with her kids. Take her to court. You know, 2025, give her what she asking for. Yep. Because she will never expect it. A lot of y'all baby mamas don't think y'all got the balls to do it. And I'm just going to say it. Go do it. Because the judge going to see that you're trying. Ain't nobody, even if you start with supervised visitations and work your way up, because your baby's worth it. And they got to know that you tried. They're going to see what parent was the problem. When you keep showing up, and despite that mama's attitude, despite her disrespect, your child going to see who the admirable parent is. They ain't going to be a baby forever. Your kids, they're not going to be babies forever.
Come on now. Look. Hey, shout out to Jess too. Thanks for sending that those stars. I appreciate that. Oh man. Let's see what else we got here. People have to stop trying to be their kid. People have to stop trying to keep their kids from being like them. And that's really detrimental to raising a child. Yes, you are stifling the child's individuality. You're really handcuffing them from making their own decisions, because once they have to live in the world without you, and they don't have you as a reference point because you're the source of their mindset, then you've basically handicapped that child for the world, you know, psychologically. And you also are putting a significant impact on the way that they view their own children if they have them too. So you got to be careful with that. What you got to say about that?
Yeah, I believe so. You know, let your child, like a lot of y'all, put y'all fears, projections, negativity, everything on your child, and you don't let them be themselves. You don't let them grow. You don't let them change. You want a lot of y'all jealous of y'all kids, and y'all want them to stay stagnant. That's the truth.
Yep. So Yeah, I like these are the topics that's like longevity part,
Mm.
looking at the future. That's the thing. Like with kids, I believe you have to be looking at the future. You don't have to look at how you feel right now. So you can't.
Especially black children, because
Yep.
they develop really fast. You
Mm-hmm.
know, our kids develop really fast mentally, emotionally. They at a higher risk of a lot of things, so they're
Because
gonna
we
get that.
already in survival mode, so they ain't got no
Absolutely.
choice but to grow up. You can't.
They're gonna get that
Can't grow up
education
without.
from. If they ain't getting it from you, they're gonna get it from somebody. They ain't get it from their dad, they're gonna get it from somebody. So that's on you.
Let's see. When we divorced, every time my daughter asks, I sent her straight to her daddy. Sir, she says she misses you. Come get her. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, look, this is what the platform was made for, though. To get people to get their takes out on certain topics that affect everybody or that raised them. These topics actually raised a lot of people that's in this timeline,
Right.
and that's why I think people have such a commitment to trying to heal from it, understand it. I think the lack of um ability for people to really talk about their parents. I think the lack of accountable parents is forcing people that have been raised this way to have better conversations about this.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I think on a larger scale, like people are just looking for answers. They're tired of running into a dead end. They're tired of being, you know, they're tired of the truth really being omitted from them. You know,
Right.
and and like the people that got the stories, that's where we got to learn from. We have to have exchanges now. Uh, I, I think yeah, in the last 10 years, mental health has been a big deal. It was always a big deal in the military, but they even still just started taking it seriously like in the last 20 years
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of psychological experiences when you in the military.
Mm-hmm.
But on the outside, all of this stuff is so new, and it requires um, you know, eating the elephant a bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the people try to go eat the entire elephant in one sitting, and you can't do it. You got to chip away at it, and at some point, therapy is to get you lined up about that these things require a lot of patience, and then it takes coaching and assertive conversation
Right.
to realize that pouting about it ain't gonna fix it either. You have to decide that you want to be in a different position in life 3 to 4 years from now, or whatever timeline you create.
Right.
But it just need to be realistic because you was already making unrealistic decisions without all the information. Because most of us, if we had more information, we would made different decisions.
Right.
So, yep. Nobody need to see. Yeah, like if you got parents, you need to see your parents if they available. You know.
Right.
Shout out to my man, more or less. Yeah,
Hello.
what's up with you, brother? Appreciate your support and being a subscriber. Like, I want to start getting to the point where we're doing more specific stuff. But man, he one of the guys that I talked to offline um, at length. He can tell you that he was one of the first people I know that I talked to at length that says the things that I talk about when it comes down to men and how it's helped them has been very, very eye-opening about his own situation and everything.
That's
So
good.
that's why I know that if the right women have the right conversation, we'll see a significant change in things.
Right.
And then that's how it works. Oh man, shout out to more or less for the stars too, man. Like, man, it's doing something righteous take a long time.
Right.
It take a long time to get recognized for it. And I appreciate anybody that can, get in the trenches with the same conversation and see that is actually impactful,
Right.
enough to decide, hey, I got enough information in this hand and this hand, and I get to make a decision. A lot of times people didn't have any options. And that was
Right.
the longest complaint. We grew up this way and I had to make this decision or whatever. But okay, cool. Let me give you something that's simple to look at, and you get to determine, is this information enough for you to choose differently than what you was raised to do?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have if you don't have a baseline, you're not gonna make a decision that's different than the way that you was raised. So, and if you got kids, you really can't afford to make the same decisions that your parents made. You can't, because if I mean, you just gotta, and you know, all in all, you know what I really believe would have changed a lot of things, even despite the crack era and mass incarceration stuff, is if we talk to each other better.
Absolutely.
Our generation didn't say why we needed to do something. They just said, do as I say and not as I do. And don't question me because I'm the adult. It is very irresponsible. And it's interesting that Jessica just typed in with some words with the word irresponsible. I'll get to that comment in a second. But if our parents had, if our generation of parents that raised us, and I'm older than you, I'm a decade older than you. If my generation, the boomers, would have raised us with knowing why we need to do something instead of just saying, leaving the why out, they would have realized that they were just raising us with fear and faith.
Right.
And instead of being faithful, we was instead of being faithful in the well-meaning of the guidance, we were just being faithful to fear. So that's why, like, my generation of men and women lie to each other. They lie to themselves way differently because of fear. You ever seen, like, when a child tell a white lie because they get caught doing something and put them in an embarrassing situation and they'll default and lie?
Yeah.
It's because of fear. And that's why I say, like, you don't have to necessarily be taught how to lie, but you could be raised in an environment that cultivates it, that reinforces it and justifies it and says, oh, that's cute. Right. Man, you modeling some terrible behavior with no accountability, and some people gonna get hurt eventually. Let me see what Jess got. It's irresponsible to blame your upbringing once you have outside resources like therapy and community. Yep. You can go back and challenge, but what you can't do is get upset that they don't receive what you're saying because they haven't gone to go do the work. You know, I've been talking about, like, well, we did No Contact a couple weeks ago, right? There's a lot of people that's trying to figure out. I did No Contact with Jada, and one of the commenters said something about he's one of 7. And he's trying to figure out how to talk to his mom. And I said it's important not to ambush, because that's how they used to ambush us. And because you're going to approach them with the same energy that they would communicate with you, but they're not going to be ready. They're not going to be ready for it. They're going to treat it disingenuous. They're going to deflect. They're not going to tell the truth. They're going to conveniently not remember everything that they did, but remember everything that you did.
Right.
You're not going to move the conversation forward, and then you're going to have the same thing that you're going to be at the same decision-making point that you would be in if you were in a toxic romantic relationship. Do you continue the relationship with someone that doesn't reciprocate your empathy, or do you break up with them and put them in a box and move on? You know, and that's literally what you do to everything, right? Whether it be a family member, they end up in a coffin, that's a box.
Right.
If they end up in the past is a box too that you choose to open up as needed, you know, to reference if you think it with a disciplined mindset. But if you're undisciplined, you're gonna be looking for revenge. You're gonna be looking for get back. You're gonna be looking for you're gonna be looking for reciprocation for your negative feelings. You want them to feel like you feel, but you don't even want to feel like you feel. So it's pointless, you know. So yeah, you better go work on yourself, because the other thing is too, if you don't, this is going to poison your opportunities. If you don't go get some kind of help and rationalize, you know, what you need to be doing going forward, you're just repeating the pattern for your children in modern times. And the very person you're trying to avoid being like, you're already that person, because genetically and psychologically you already have the imprint. So why wouldn't you? You can't act like something else. You can't just start acting like an eagle when you've been raised by pigeons.
Absolutely.
You're just a bigger pigeon. So So yeah, man. What other comments we got to go through? Just line this thing up. Is Kim Katie your people?
Yeah.
Shout out to Kim Katie watching over on YouTube. Appreciate it. So, what else we got going on? All right. Well, this has been yet another great episode. I appreciate to all the subscribers and the commenters that engaged with the thread. The chat has been awesome today, and matter of fact, you guys deserve a round of applause also. And before we get out of here, I want to say that Monday I will be doing an episode with my brother Isa Ali, and we're going to be talking about the grace of men. Mm-hmm. And the grace of men is as it sounds. It is we afford the world the opportunity to criticize us. Mm. And if we don't say it, then nobody's going to speak up for us. And not saying anything gives agency for the worst representatives,
right,
to speak for us. And part of the problem that anybody has had in America, and specifically any racial or ethnic group, is being miseducated. Other people being miseducated about everybody else. Mm-hmm. And in this era of social media accountability, I guess you could say, the conversations centered around this are going to be talking about the grace that men provide for women to recover from their mistakes and their misjudgments of us. Because, like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you probably had some negative experiences over here. You might have already had them in your own family. That imprint is already there.
Right.
But if you got sons, you better fix it.
Right.
Because you're going to need your son. You can act like you independent and everything and all of that stuff, but you're going to need your son. Mm-hmm. There's just literally no way around it, because I see how mothers need their daughters.
Facts.
Because I believe that women live long enough to try to become kids again. They want to become children again. They don't want to be responsible for nothing. Mm-hmm. They think everybody's supposed to do something for them. And it's cute and all if you did the right thing by your kids.
Right.
It ain't cute if you didn't do right by your kids and you think you're still entitled to that same level of intentional immaturity, mm-hmm. that you want to live by. So that is a reward for being a good parent. Mm-hmm. Because most people I know that are children that love their parents, they would love to make room to take care of their parents.
Right, absolutely.
That same desire to take care of your parent as a child is the same desire that men have to protect the women that they care and respect. It's the exact same thing. It's like, that's why I say it should be easy. And the easiest thing for a parent to do when they got adult children, in my opinion, is to listen to your kids.
Right.
Listen to your adult children tell you about their childhood, and don't compare your childhood to theirs, because they didn't live your childhood. You gave them the childhood that they're trying to recover from. So with that being said, just wanted to say that before we got up out of here. Take ownership and live the life that you deserve, and you only deserve everything you earn. Good, bad, and different. Queen Smoke, it's been a pleasure.
Call that man.
All right, we're getting out of here. All right, folks. Appreciate you sticking with me to the end. This has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Go get the book. And most importantly, I will see you beyond the algorithm. That's where life actually happens.